polarization just keeps getting worse in Washington. It's as bad as they've ever seen it, and it seems to be making Americans very upset.
And page 45.
This is politics.
And page 45.
Is this where we want to set the bar for future presidents?
Clinton was the worst in history.
It was a vote along party lines that made President Clinton only the
I'm not for gay marriage.
I believe marriage is between a man and a woman.
Marriage is between a man and a woman. And so does John.
Obama nor I support redefining what constitutes
limousine was set on fire downtown.
It's my
Smoke
decision.
could be seen
It's
from
not
blocks
a
away.
baby.
And protesters hurled
U.S.
trash
Navy has
cans
had
and
far
flash
existence
bombs
of
and bills working intense partisan fight.
Hey guys, welcome back to Bob and Weave. He's Bob, I'm the Weave, and this is episode 4, where we're going to tackle something a little more fun than we've been doing.
Extremely controversial. And we are actually joined today for the first time by a guest. We have sitting across from us, well, I was going to say a high school teacher, but I don't know what you teach. What do you teach?
I teach U.S. history, one class world history, coach wrestling and softball.
All at the Niles High School.
Yep,
Here.
the wonderful Niles High School.
Yep, and that voice right there is Mr. Tom Desenberg, and he's made me say clearly that he's not a Bigfoot expert.
I am not an expert.
But so that's what we're talking about this week, guys, because we haven't said it yet.
Oh, yeah.
Bigfoot.
And I do want to make a quick update before we go, before we move on with this. So a couple things. One, you probably don't even know this, Tom, the show's new, so we're only been out for a week now.
All right.
So we're kind of getting our feet under us. We've kind of set it format-wise because we cover some pretty heavy shit that, like, once a month, we're going to try to do something a little more fun, which is hence the Bigfoot episode. Also, a couple listeners hit us back after the Botham Jean and Amber Geiger case and said that we had mentioned about whether she was in uniform. Mm-hmm. And I said I don't think she was. She was, in fact, in uniform and did have her bat belt with the taser and all that other. So she had other options with her. I want to make sure we cleared that up. And, yeah, we're going to talk about Bigfoot today.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Where are you starting at with this? Now, I kind of know where Tommy's at. I don't think Bigfoot exists. What do you think?
I want to believe.
I do, too. I want to believe Bigfoot exists, but it seems super unlikely to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is that. And, yeah, where's the fossil evidence? Shouldn't he be on a couple game cameras here and there?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you look at the Patterson-Gimlin film. You know, they captured him on this old little reel-to-reel, whatever it is, camera.
Yeah.
Now, every single human that walks in the woods ever has a smartphone on them with high-definition cameras on it. So,
yeah, but they're dumbasses with smartphones.
That's true. We all have gotten a lot stupider,
mm-hmm.
And a lot more people are sitting in their houses playing video games instead of out walking in the woods, I guess. Yeah. There's still people out there, but Zach did the majority of the research for this episode.
If we call it that.
Right. Well, it was probably more fun research than some of the other stuff we've done.
Yeah, it was a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, I really want to believe in this, but I'm that guy. I want to believe in the Loch Ness Monster and UFOs, and I want to believe in all that stuff.
Right.
I typically don't, but I want to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a beautiful thing about the flat earthers is suddenly believing in Bigfoot is not that far-fetched anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't believe in flat earth, though.
Yeah. Right, but that's one that you want to talk about at
I
some
do
point.
want to talk about that, but that is not one that I believe in.
So, yeah, with people coming with more crazy things out there that seems less crazy.
Yeah, we look more credible for believing in Sasquatch.
Yeah. Well, and this is, like, Bigfoot to me is... it's not that far-fetched to think that there could be this creature in the especially in the Northwest, out in the big woods that are out there, and that we haven't seen it yet. It seems possible, but it also seems impossible that nobody's found him yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, you have a couple films out there that could be real.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is kind of incredulous in the information age and the technology age that we haven't gotten better.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, one of the things I'll point out, and, you know, as I think about this, you know, we spend a lot of time in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a black bear hunting in the woods?
While I was hunting, no.
Okay. Neither have I. I've never seen a black bear in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of a disappointment. I spend a huge amount of time hunting,
mm-hmm.
hiking, driving around up north. Never seen a black bear.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
Because we know for a fact there's a lot of black bears. Where my cabin is up in the Baldwin Irons area.
Yep, I'm about 5 miles away.
Yeah, there's tons of black bear up there. I have them on game cameras. I have seen them up there, but never ever while I was out.
Yeah.
While I was out hunting.
I have one on game camera, and Scott got the same one a couple days later on his game camera on our camp. And I've seen tracks, never seen a black bear. And you start out there with the supposition that there are way more black bears across North America,
right,
than there are Sasquatch.
And most hunters probably haven't ever come across
a black bear. Yeah,
that's a really good point. I did find some very. As a quick aside, one time I was hunting up there with a friend of mine from the Niles Fire Department, Chad Cherone, and we go out in the morning to hunt, and it's still dark, and I've got a flashlight. I'm showing him to his tree stand, and we come across the biggest pile of bear shit you've ever seen. I mean, it's this big around, and it's still steaming.
Yeah.
And we both stop for a minute and look at it, and then Chad laid one of the best liners on me that I've ever heard. He looks at it and goes, "Well, I guess that answers that question."
Yeah.
That's a bear shit in the woods joke.
Yeah,
Zach.
I got it.
So first, let me see what you got here.
What do you want to know?
I don't know. So Bigfoot sightings.
Sightings.
Did you guys watch the Finding Bigfoot series? It was on Animal Planet back when it's not on anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't have cable anymore, but yeah, that was terrible.
Yeah, it was. Well, what got me with that is that they spoke with such veracity all the time.
Yep.
It was like, no, everybody knows that the females are 6 to 7 foot, and they like it when you bang on it. It's like, you've never seen one. Like,
is that the one where the guy plays the drums in the woods? Is that the same film? Have you seen that one?
I think so. This was a series.
Yeah.
There's a guy that goes out and plays the drums in the woods, and he says that it helps them. It calms them down, and they'll come out if he plays the drums in the woods.
I haven't seen that, but has that guy ever seen one?
He says he has multiple times.
Well, I guess then he's
it's on
got a little bit more
Netflix.
credibility.
That one's on Netflix.
Okay.
I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Well, Finding Bigfoot was a big one, and it was like I watched, of course, like a lot of other people, I watched it regularly, even though I knew it was like, I was like, how much money are they going to suck out of a show called Finding Bigfoot where they never find Bigfoot?
And those were not the people that were going to find him.
No. And why is that?
Well, they were just, running around the woods, way too noisy.
That's not how you find a Bigfoot.
No. Now, Monster Quest that was on the History Channel, I think was a lot better.
Okay.
And I watched that and I enjoyed that show. And I thought they had some good stuff. They actually had an episode where they were in a cabin in Alaska and something was throwing rocks at the cabin. Now, it's the History Channel. The same people that do Ancient Aliens.
Right.
So, take it with a grain of salt. But it seemed, the people they had on the show, I thought had a lot more credibility than the Finding Bigfoot people.
The guys, they would walk into the woods and go, "It's awful squatchy." So one thing I want to know is how many did you were able to find how many? Because there's been a lot of sightings, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I found a couple numbers, but the numbers I found are all for just the U.S.
Okay.
So I found a number of 23,000 sightings in the U.S. That's a number they're giving us.
It seems like a lot for there not to be one.
Top 8 places to find Bigfoot in the U.S. Number 8 is Texas. Seems a little strange to me, but Texas. 806 sightings. Number 7, Oregon. With
that, I believe.
Yeah, I can believe Oregon. I think it would be higher on the list, don't you? I mean, it's number 7. So that's 1,009.
Okay.
Next on the list, this one confuses me, Ohio.
There's a lot of stories about like the Ohio grassman and in the Ohio Valley where you have all those hollers and it's woods. It's bottomland hardwoods. There's a lot of mast in the form of acorns. The same reason you have big deer.
Right.
It makes sense that something like that could live there. And there's some isolated places down there.
Okay, so that's 1,042. Number 5 on the list, New York, with 1,068, which I could see, like northern New York. Yeah, makes sense. Number 4, a little proud of this one, Michigan.
Yes.
Yep, 1,131 sightings.
Yep.
And Michigan makes sense, not just because we're here, but the UP. That what I mean? Like that's
right.
Rustic as hell up there.
Yeah. I used to go inner tubing on the Osable, the northern lower on the Huron side. In Alcona County, and what was the other one right there? I can't remember. Alcona County is a hotbed of Michigan Bigfoot.
Really?
There were a lot of stories about that. Big swampy areas, a lot of national forest land.
Well, I could totally see. And one of the sites you were looking at earlier said there's been some sightings right here in Berrien County.
I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical of those, though.
Number 3 is Pennsylvania, 1,340.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Those are big rolling woods.
Number 2, California, 1,697. Which Northern California makes sense, but it also makes sense with the population.
Right.
There's more people there. There's more chances of sightings. Number 1, Washington, 2,032.
In the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
Well,
so the thing that kind of baffles me though is you'd think you'd see more like North Carolina, some of those areas like that, the mountainous kind of hilly, overgrown areas.
But have you ever been to the Pacific Northwest?
No.
Have you ever been there?
I've been to Idaho. I guess I've been to Montana and Idaho, but not really.
So 2 summers ago, we took our kids for vacation. We did it, which is horrible. Don't ever do this. If you have 4 kids, to get to rent an RV and spend 2 weeks going out west. We wanted to, before Becky's oldest, my stepson graduated high school, we wanted to do a big cross-the-country trip with all of them, and we went to Yellowstone and all the way, and we went to the Pacific Northwest up to the Redwoods in Northern California. And that's when I think, it's an area where they supposedly are and that no one has seen them. Totally got it when I was driving through specifically Oregon, and we were just kind of cutting through the southern part of it. But that was the longest 8 hours of my life. I mean, it was like, it's just nothing but beauty. And when you start driving it, it's like, it's beautiful. You can see, you crest the top of this mountainous area and look into these valleys, and they go on forever in every direction without a single house, a light pole, nothing. And then you spend an hour going down the valley, up crest the next hill, and it's the same thing. And then you do it again and again and again and again. And then you're running out of gas and you're getting nervous, there's so much open space in Northern California and Southern Oregon. At least those are the areas where I've personally been. I mean, I could see a lot of things living there that nobody's found before.
Yeah. The biggest wilderness area I've ever been in is Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are moose everywhere.
Right.
And that was one of the goals is I want to see a moose.
Uh-huh.
I only saw one, and it's packed in real tight forest. We're used to the national forest here in Michigan that have been logged off once, and now they're growing back, and they're pretty open.
Right.
But, those old, especially the northern forests like that are still pretty pristine. I mean, they're thick.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to see anything in there.
Yeah.
I think the number I'd like to see is British Columbia. That's the one I couldn't find a number for, but I feel like there's got to be a ton of sightings.
Okay.
In like that Vancouver, maybe outside of Vancouver, that British Columbia province up there.
They're up there for the healthcare.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a Monster Quest episode that talked about Vancouver Island and Bigfoots in the coastal islands, and it was pretty interesting.
So a lot of these numbers came off a website. It's bfro.net. It's the Bigfoot Field Research Organization.
And those were the people that were on the Finding Sasquatch show.
Okay, and that's
Bigfoot show. Yeah,
that website actually had it listed. You could go by state and by county, and I looked it up. There was 3 listings in Berrien County. I want to say 2012, 94, and like the 70s were the 3. And one of them had pictures and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I mentioned that I'm just wondering why my computer doesn't want to grab the Wi-Fi in here.
Doesn't like you.
Instead of grabbing the one in the house that's 200 feet away.
Well, I don't know if you checked Cass County, but in I'll say mid-60s, I don't know the exact year, there was the Sisters Lake Monster that was a Bigfoot-like creature that was sighted numerous times over the summer. People were coming in, hunting for it, and all that good stuff, but they never found anything.
No, I didn't look up Cass County. More so, I was just kind of pulling up stuff quickly and found Berrien and just clicked it because that's where we're at, just to think about it. But
so one of the people that I was looking to try to get on here was a guy in Berrien County that claims to have seen Bigfoot here in Berrien County a couple times. And there's guys that I know that work with him that are like, he's like the most straight-laced, straight-shooter guy you could think of. Not the kind of guy that would make up a story, but never heard back from him.
Yeah.
I don't think he knows what a podcast is. I'm really getting pissed off right now because I'm trying to play. I have no internet.
And the most recent one I found in the news, and there may be more recent ones, but the most recent one I found in the news was July 31st of this year. There was a camper that shot at one at Mammoth Cave.
In Kentucky?
In Kentucky.
He shot at it.
Shot at it. Yeah.
But see, like, how is there no... how is there no video? Like who people video they video their breakfast.
Yeah.
Like how are people not popping their phone up?
Well, this was supposed to be startled at night. Got out of the tent, shot at it.
I'd like to think I'm a good photographer, and that's actually one of my hobbies. But I can take the fuzziest photos on the face of the earth with an iPhone.
Right.
And it's like I know it's a good picture, and then I look at it and go, what happened? Mm-hmm. So maybe there are some of those out there, and then people aren't even going to try to say anything because I got this picture. It's nothing but blur and foliage in the forest.
Right.
Well, I think Bigfoot is blurry.
Probably. So that would explain.
That's the problem.
That's the problem is he is blurry. Have you seen the Todd Standing film? Discovering, what's it called? Something. I just wrote it down. Yeah, Discovering Bigfoot.
No, I have not.
That's an interesting one. It's about 2 hours of him tromping through the woods in BC, and it's definitely an interesting film. And I think he's kind of right now is kind of like the front runner for the Bigfoot movement. He's the one he's brought up. He actually filed a lawsuit against British Columbia to try to get them to recognize Bigfoot. He filed a lawsuit against California to try to get California to recognize Bigfoot.
Is that for real though? He's genuinely filing lawsuits because they won't recognize an animal no one's ever seen.
Yep. And the British Columbia threw it out.
Or has no proof of it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure California threw theirs out too.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
I did just look up Cass County, Michigan. And it said, maybe I don't know how the site works because it said 3 sightings. When I clicked it, I only shows 2.
Well, it doesn't like you.
But it says July 2001 is a Class A sighting.
Yeah, I used to go to that website quite a bit. My fascination with Bigfoot started with an argument with a science teacher. And they were using...
Was it my ex-wife?
No, it was not.
Okay.
It was not. But they were using the day after tomorrow to facilitate conversation about global climate change.
The movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, why don't you just teach kids about Bigfoot? I'm sure there's better scientific evidence about that. So I started researching. I was like, well, maybe there is. Then that's where I started, thinking that maybe this is real.
Now, you brought a book in with you.
I did.
Is this a book you purchased for this occasion, or is that in your library of books?
Oh, it's in my library. This one was actually a Secret Santa present from another teacher at work because I was fascinated with Bigfoot.
Okay.
And they knew it, so they bought it. It's by Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum. It's called Sasquatch, Legend Meets Science. And he is a professor of anthropology and biomechanics, kinesiology type thing in Idaho. Okay. Idaho State or University of Idaho. And he's actually put some thought into this. He's built models of what he thinks like a Sasquatch ankle would look like to support the huge amount of weight. In one of the episodes of Monster Quest, they broke down the Patterson video, and he explained the gait, why it would walk in that manner.
Right.
So it is kind of interesting. He designs a whole ankle. He talks about, when you walk on a beach and you go heel, then toes, and your toe and your front foot pushes back, it pushes that ridge of sand. That's in a different location on a Sasquatch based on the ankle. And he has the casts that say, hey, this is way different than human. So he kind of put a lot of thought into that, as did another dude named Grover Krantz, who was an anthropologist that taught at a couple different universities. So those are the 2 scientific Bigfoot researchers.
Okay. And so his conclusion is that Bigfoot is real.
He doesn't come right out and say it, but he believes so. And he points to a preponderance. I just tapped the tape, sorry.
That's the thing. I would yell at Zach if he did.
Yeah, normally it's me, so
sorry.
Glad it was you this time.
Yeah. He has a number of evidence like that. And a lot of it predates the internet. So, it's kind of interesting. If you're hoaxing it, you go to the internet, get your information. Where do you get the information to hoax things in the 70s?
Or the Patterson-Gimlin bill, which was 1967.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, let me because we keep talking about it, let me throw that up here while I got things working again. I think it's hard to find just a clean, here's the footage.
Yeah.
I have somewhere along the line I did see. So these are 2 guys that they were out looking for Bigfoot, if memory serves.
Yep. There are 2 rancher cowboy rodeo guys from the Pacific Northwest that after there were a bunch of tracks spotted by a construction crew in California, they decided, hey, let's go there.
Okay.
And
and they spent weeks, did they, out on horseback?
Yep, and going around. And when they took the picture, famously, a lot of people say, it's a hoax. Gimlin, he said, well, if it's a hoax, those guys were pretty gutsy because they didn't tell me about it. And while Patterson's filming, I have my rifle and I'm standing right behind him.
Right.
So, there's a lot that goes to it. People claimed, it was me in a monkey suit, and
right. Because somebody came forward, didn't they, at some point, and said that it was him.
Yeah, like a big stunt man that was like 7 foot tall, and that's one of the things that they broke down when Meldrum and Monster Quest, they computerized, and they put like the joints and the bones and how everything would move and to explain it. And they're like, it would be hard for a dude to do that.
So what happened? I want to see if I can find information on him here in a minute, because I thought I remembered hearing, it might have been on Rogan or something. I heard them say that a guy came forward and said that was me.
Yeah.
But did the guy claim that it was him and Patterson and Gimlin put him up to it, or that he just tricked them?
No, that they had put him up to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I will have to say they're pretty good actors, because when you watch we've all seen on TV shows the little clips of Bigfoot walking, but a lot of that's, which I think this is too, where they've people have taken later and stabilized the video and stuff. Because somewhere along the line online, I found the raw video. Have you seen it?
Which one?
The raw video of the Gimlin film.
I've seen it multiple times.
Where it's like he's on a horse. He jumps down, the camera shaking. He's running. You mentioned the guns. You hear him say, "Cover me."
Yeah.
To is it
Gimlin had the rifle and Patterson had the
camera. Yeah, so he's saying, "Cover me."
And part of the confusion of it all, evidently it was originally at the wrong speed or recorded at the wrong speed, and then digitally you can kind of speed it up to the right speed, so it looks better.
Yeah, it was filmed at something like they say like 12 or 24 frames per second, which typically you do 30 or 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of people have done, is they've sped it up and zoomed it. So I'm going to play it just so we can see what we're talking about, I hope.
And this I kind of, just these guys go in the woods and they find the Bigfoot. What's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
But they were responding to reports of all these construction workers at Bluff Creek.
They were saying they were seeing the prints.
They were finding these giant prints.
Right. And this video is behind you, Tom. You can see they're freezing it and trying to do high resolution photos.
Yeah.
As he's walking.
She,
because she has breasts.
Yes. That's what they extrapolate from this.
What do they call her? Patty? Is that
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple frames where you can see the heel, and the bottom of the foot picks up in a very flat manner. And that's one of the things that they pointed out with the kind of the biomechanics of where the ankle would move towards the toes, as opposed to a human where it's at the back.
Right.
That would change a little bit. And there's not a clearly defined heel when you look at Meldrum's model. It's much more of a flat kind of rocking surface rather than heel and then toes going in.
So you think that video is legit?
I would really like to. I do, in my heart of hearts, think so. I've never seen Bigfoot. I don't have any conclusive proof, but I think it looks legit.
I feel kind of both ways on it, because it feels to me like, what are the odds that these guys say, "Let's go look for Bigfoot. We found him," but like you said, it was in response to something.
Yeah. And an interesting thing there is if these guys are riding horses, how much does that cover the human scent?
Well, and that was going to be my other thing as a hunter, someone who's in the woods often. This is a wild. It's obviously, if it exists, an elusive wild creature. His behavior is the reason I always thought that video was bullshit, because like when he looks up and sees somebody, doesn't retreat, doesn't hide, just is like looks back and just kind of wanders off into the woods. It just seems too perfect to me. Zach, your thoughts?
I don't know if I have any on this. I mean, it's pretty evident it's something, is it a man? Is it that? Like you said, if it's not Bigfoot and it's not a person that they put up to do it, and it's just a person doing it, that's ballsy.
Yeah.
To be out there just walking around, because you're probably going to get shot,
Especially in 1967.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's no way that anybody like hoaxed them.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was a hoax, they were in on it.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't seem, I've seen some interviews with like Gimlin. I've never seen any with Patterson.
Right.
And he seems to be telling the truth. He passes the BS test when you're looking at it and watching it.
I was just watching a video with him, and he was talking about, and I don't know what, I know there was some conflict between the two of them, and then one of them, I think it was Gimlin like sold his share of the video for like $10 because he was pissed off at Patterson, or something like that along the years. While you're going through whatever you have next here, do you know the name of the guy that claimed to be?
It was Bob Hieronymus, like H-E-I-R anonymous. I don't know. I guarantee it's in the book.
I got it.
The Todd Standing documentary that I was talking about, he has 2 actual videos in there of 2 sightings, one of which is pretty sketchy, one of which just looks like a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
The second one is definitely something, but it could also just be a close-up of a gorilla, or you know what I mean? It's hard to tell.
The 2 ones I've seen that you look at and say, okay, maybe, and their motion in them and all that, are the Freeman footage from 1994. Paul Freeman was a National Forest Service worker who thought he saw a Bigfoot on a number of occasions, so he started carrying a camera with him because people were clowning him.
And where was that at?
Washington State, yeah. So he caught what was called the Freeman footage in 1994 of southeast Washington. And then there's the Memorial Day, which is from northern Washington, where Owen and Lori Pate were camping out over Memorial Day weekend, and they captured on their camera a figure running across the hillside.
Okay.
It is booking.
Yeah.
And that's another one that they tried to recreate as far as speed and pace with a human runner on Monster Quest. And, once again, it's a TV show. You can kind of edit things and change things as you want. But I think the people involved in the show, they seem pretty upfront and legit that, they wouldn't necessarily be involved if they were scamming stuff.
Right.
And one of them was Meldrum.
The problem with that is that I recently made a TV show, and there's a battle that goes on between, like in my case, it's my show, my intellectual property. I'm the star of the show, but I also have a showrunner that works for the network that I'm working for,
and they want to see what they want to put on TV.
Right. Yeah. And so, even if the scientists are like, I don't want to do this, and like, nope, you're going to do this. This is what the show's going to look like, or they just edit it together to make it look like that.
Yeah.
So I want to see what this is here. This says Bob Hieronymus and Philip Morris talk about hoaxing. Talk about the hoaxing. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. See what these guys have to say if I'm still on the proper Wi-Fi. And
so while he's doing that, do you believe that there is a population across the United States or across the North America, or do you think it's more isolated than that and some of these other ones are not believable?
I think the Pacific Northwest and Canada are the most believable.
Okay.
Northern California too. But the southern Bigfoots, and you hear a lot about the skunk ape.
Is that the one in Florida?
Yep. The Ouachita Mountains in Arkansas, Missouri area, the Ozarks, those areas. I think they're kind of reasonable too. One of the things I point out in my notes from Meldrum's book is he talks about Bergman's rule. In a species, the further north you go, the bigger they get.
Okay.
And that holds true with samples from the 60s and the 70s of track size and reported height.
Makes sense.
And a couple scientists, they charted that out, and they're like, well, Bergman's rule is kind of, the California ones are slightly smaller than the Washington and the Oregon.
I'm unfamiliar with that. Is that just with any species of animal?
And any species within that species.
Okay.
So if you have like a timber wolf, the closer they get to the Arctic Circle, the bigger they are, the more weight. And, that also, when you start getting big and monumental, you have a bigger gut.
Right.
So you have the ability to digest stuff that you and I would not be able to digest. So you're saying, well, what would you eat? Human-like food. They'd be better able to survive on grasses and things like that than a human would.
Right. I think that explains a lot. If I were to move to Florida, I would have a smaller gut. It's my problem. I live too far north.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm going to say too.
Yeah. Did you have something there, or you want me to take this?
I was just curious about that.
Okay, let me see what this guy... This is the guy that claims he hoaxed everybody. I assume there's sound.
I don't know, Bob.
I can't tell if there's sound yet based on...
Do you think the Mid-America Bigfoot Research Center, they rumble with the Bigfoot Field Research Organization like they have turf wars?
Oh, I bet so.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we got a problem.
You broke it. Whoa, that's pretty rough there.
Okay, I'll come back to this because I've just realized what I did wrong.
Yeah, the population across the states or across the continent is kind of the one that gets me because, maybe they're not necessarily exactly the same species. I mean, that's the same thing with like deer. There's deer across the United States, but they're different, so.
You have whitetail, you have coos, you have blacktail. Yeah.
So I could see that as well with the Bigfoot, the big feet, the big foots.
Yeah, so that's they're all different. Well, even within just whitetail deer, a Kansas whitetail is a little bit different than a Michigan whitetail and a Canadian whitetail. I think I have our sound problem fixed here.
All right.
This is amazing sound.
Right.
That is Bigfoot. The original footage is doing it again, but this time it's all to prove it's just all a hoax. Mia Sabatino has more.
Things that rock change like this.
This is a replica of that gorilla suit that appeared in the original Bigfoot film made famous in the 1960s by Yakima man Roger Patterson. Well, Hieronymus says he got $1,000 to wear the suit while Patterson filmed him in Bluff Creek, California.
They were going to make this movie of this Bigfoot, take it to Hollywood, sell it to movie people down there, and make loads of money off it.
For years, only a handful of people knew the truth.
To sell for as high as $7,000 and $8,000.
One of them
All right,
is
pause it for a
Philip
second.
Morris.
Is that the guy that's saying he was in the suit, or am I just? I'm trying to figure this out here.
With all the weird clicking that's in this video.
Yeah, but the guy that Bob is the guy that says he was in the suit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you can continue.
He and his wife sewed the costume together in their basement and sold it to Patterson. But Morris says he was surprised when Patterson didn't come forward.
And I, as a professional costumer, had the responsibility not to interfere because he bought the suit from us to use in what I considered really a theatrical production.
Curious about the background, a writer finally put the mystery to rest and printed the story behind the making of Bigfoot in a book.
The amazing thing is that this story has been hidden, so to speak, here in Yakima for 37 years, and none of the Bigfoot believers took the time to come down and do the job that I did. It was simply a matter of going around to where Roger Patterson himself lived, to talk to neighbors and friends of Patterson, and follow the leads and see where they took me. And they took me to Bob Hieronymus.
They're outing the secret in a TV segment for National Geographic, and they say this time it is a true story.
I decided then it was time that people knew the truth about this Bigfoot film. It was a hoax.
In Yakima,
That guy doesn't seem big enough. He doesn't seem tall enough to me. If he's the guy,
wasn't he? Well, they didn't really show him standing up, did they? Because he was like a stunt man or something, right?
That's the story I've heard. But yeah, the suit doesn't.
That's
look
not
like
him standing there, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is.
And that other gentleman was standing next to a reporter.
Yeah.
A female reporter. I mean, I would suspect. I think they did a little bit of photogrammetry on it, and they say that individual was pretty large, 7 foot or so.
Yeah.
That's in the Patterson film.
Well, the problem with going through any kind of photogrammetry work is
which we know at this point.
Yeah, you have to have known measurements.
Mm-hmm.
So and that didn't happen until decades later. So like if they could have gone back in 1967, that this stump is
hold up a ruler.
Yeah, this far and this far and this far. Then you could input that into some equations to figure out exactly how tall he is. I know people have done that, but I don't know how they can without having the actual measurements.
Yeah.
I mean, they did that on that Finding Bigfoot show, I think. They went through to prove that it was real.
You did that on a case that you covered.
Mm-hmm.
They went in and did photogrammetry without known measurements. It didn't turn out so well.
They said that a 5'8" guy was 6'1".
Yeah. See?
Just basically they guessed.
Yeah.
That's almost like the old Buchanan football rosters.
Frank's rosters, that we were all the same. Everyone was the exact same size.
I think weren't we like all 6'1", 185?
Yep.
I think so.
Everybody on the roster. Like instead of just not putting it on the rosters, it said every single player on the team was 6'1", 185 pounds.
Yeah. All right.
So what do you make of that? I mean, that to me, why is this guy coming forward? Is he making money off of this?
I don't know.
And when did he? I want to see if I can find when. When did Bob?
Yeah, but do you think it's money, or do you think it's just he wants his 15 minutes of fame? Because I think that's more likely.
Yeah.
Than any monetary. Because how do you expect to get any monetary value out of that? But you could definitely get your 15 minutes of fame saying I was in the Bigfoot suit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let me see here on Wikipedia, their best source of information. Hieronymus fits the definition of a visionary and artist. He did not attend it. Is this the right guy?
I'm not sure that it is.
It's not saying anything about Bigfoot at all.
You think you'd lead with that? That would be
right. That would be where you'd start with it. Let me Bigfoot the inside story. I guess one thing is that even if the Patterson Gimlin film is a hoax, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no Bigfoot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the sightings are black bears, and a lot of the tracks are black bears.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen black bear tracks, they're here and there on the strides, the front foot and the back foot overlap.
Uh-huh.
It looks like a big old giant human footprint.
Right.
But fresh, it has claws. Once it degrades a little bit, you're like, oh, that's Bigfoot.
I never thought about that. I was going to say their feet aren't long, but yeah, if they just put boom, boom, then it ends up looking like this long track.
Yeah, like a humanoid or primate track.
Have there been any other videos that have surfaced that have been...
Have you ever seen the Eagle Cam from northern Michigan?
The Eagle Cam?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a Bigfoot thing?
Yep. Check Bigfoot on an Eagle Cam. They had a camera pointed at an eagle nest, and it captured something walking upright through the corner of the picture.
All right. I know
So it's fuzzy, blurry footage like all Bigfoot footage, but yeah.
The Arizona Department of Transportation released a photo of a supposed Bigfoot family.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see this.
Okay, what the fuck is that? This is far more compelling to me than the Gimlin film.
See, I don't think so.
There's another one.
To me, that reads more like a person than the Gimlin film.
That does?
Yeah. I mean, let's continue to watch here for a second, but...
Who owns the Eagle Cam?
I can't remember. It's up north, the Traverse City area somewhere.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember.
I mean, is this some of the from the DNR?
It might be.
I think he's off camera now.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are listening and not watching on YouTube, if you look up Bigfoot sighting on Michigan Live Eagle Cam on YouTube, it's a camera on obviously this nest of baby eagles.
The squeaking noises.
Right. That's that wasn't us. That was on the show. But so the focus is there, but then you see in the background this big black, tall, bipedal creature walking. You think that's a person, or you think it's like a person in a suit, like a hoax, or you just think it's a person walking around?
I think it could just be a person walking around. The color of it doesn't mean anything to me, based on where the camera's focused.
Uh-huh.
You're going to lose definition and color. The movements I don't really see anything movement wise that reads anything other than a person to me.
I'm going to play this again.
Let's play it again.
Because now I know where I'm looking when it comes into frame.
My job is to play the other side of the fence. That's what I'm doing here.
I think if that's
so you can't really even tell what's going on right there.
I think if that's a person, it's a hoax. Then, like an intentional. Oh, I don't think
walking awkwardly and.
Yeah, I don't think that's just a person walking by and we can't tell because it's out of focus. The feet or the bottom of the legs are huge.
Yeah, but that could be wearing Carhartts. That could be wearing
significant arm swing, and
it just hopped like a fucking monkey. Like that's not a person. I would say that's not a person that just happens to be walking by. Like if that's a person, it's a person in a monkey suit.
See, the arm swing doesn't. The arm swing to me reads balance. It doesn't read arm swing.
Yeah.
It reads like you're walking across sticks. You're walking across. You're walking across something that's.
But why can't a Bigfoot balance himself?
I'm not saying it can't, but that's what it reads to me.
All right. There's another video.
Okay.
I have no idea what you'd call it. It's a police dash cam from Georgia, if I remember correctly, of something running across the road in front of the cops.
Did you know that you can actually hunt Bigfoot with Jose Canseco, the baseball player?
What?
Yeah, you can pay him $5,000 and go on a hunt for Bigfoot.
For the low price of $5,000?
The low price of $5,000, you can hunt.
If I can hit a home run off his forehead.
Yeah.
Right.
But you could do some cocaine.
You would only
with
be
him.
the second person
I'll
to do
that.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Probably do some cocaine with him too while you're at it. I mean, he's pretty far out there.
Yeah.
So obviously he's a Bigfoot believer, or is this just a way for Jose Canseco to make $5,000?
I'm saying the latter.
Are there any reviews on this website?
No, I haven't seen. I mean, I didn't really pull it up. I just saw that. But apparently he's a Bigfoot and UFO guy. So
I'm no Jose Canseco, but I will take you Bigfoot hunting for $500.
Sounds good.
90%.
That's a deal.
Reduction. Sale this time only.
This one time only, $500.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
I felt like I was Bigfoot hunting this morning. So here is police cruiser evidence, is what it's titled on YouTube. If you're listening and not watching, finding Bigfoot. So this might be from the show.
Yeah, they featured it on the show one time.
Ooh, that intro's rough.
This is it.
Fucking Bobo.
Here to cross right here.
This is the show you're talking about earlier? Because this is definitely not what I was talking about.
5 miles an hour.
There's a documentary on Netflix called Finding Bigfoot.
Oh, no, this is a show.
That's where the guy plays the
late at
drums.
night, there was not another car on the road. All of a sudden, with no notice whatsoever, this very tall, very furry, very fast creature comes from that side of the road.
What the crap? Did you see that?
Yes. Shoots down here.
I don't see anything.
We're, of course, going too fast to stop.
Yeah, they didn't do us any
immediately.
favors
So
with
we
that.
hit the brakes, spun around, immediately came back.
God, I was seeing things, actually.
Oh my goodness, please tell me we got that on video.
The officer puts on the blue lights. We jump out of the car. The officer
No,
had a
hell
big
no.
gun
If I thought I saw
drawn.
Bigfoot, there's no way I'm jumping out of the damn car.
Whatever it was gone. I was shocked
Not a chance.
when I saw it because it was so big, and normally in North
wanted to
Georgia,
show the actual raw footage
animals
again.
jump out, but it's either usually deer, occasionally a black bear. That's it. Nothing that large and standing so erect and running so fast.
So we know that there are a lot of black bears here, but this thing was on 2 legs the entire time.
I have seen black bears. I've had 2 even run across in front of me before. No comparison, none.
What I gathered from Mary Scott is that she firmly believed that they saw a Sasquatch. At no point did she even bring up the possibility that this was a person in a costume. She also outright dismissed the possibility that it was a bear.
Oh, God. And you said that was a police dash cam?
Yeah, I've actually seen it where it wasn't pixelated like that.
Yeah, it was a little more convincing.
Yeah, that was...
There is the Freeman video.
We hit the brakes.
Hang on, let me stop that. What was the Freeman video?
Yeah, that was the national forest worker out in Washington. And it's blurry. It was obviously like a VHS or a mini VHS camera from the time period.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea which one of those it is?
That one.
This one here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw, this is the one that...
This is some of the little ones' tracks that's in here. I come back up here today to cast these.
This is 7 minutes that they have somewhere where you actually see... Because I saw a video someone showed me, or I was looking at earlier, and it looked for sure photoshopped.
Pour these. Now I got my cast made.
So is this guy going to show a video of the thing actually walking, or is it just his footprints we're seeing?
I think there is towards the end. Like he took his camera and like turned it on, turned it off, through number them. That might be.
Sometimes they come here and get water.
No, maybe not.
So it's full-length original footage. So was it like he was looking at tracks when all of a sudden the thing pops up?
Yeah, go ahead and drag it down, see what we can see before we watch all the... Yeah, I think it should be like that section through there.
Right here?
Yeah. And you see like the shoulders and head, maybe, you know, it's grainy.
Popping and stuff.
Oh, right there.
Oh, there he goes.
That looks like a fat hunter walking through the woods.
Get up here where I can see him real quick. Get up here. Get a better picture. I wonder where the doggone thing went. It crossed right up there. Yeah. I just wonder. It should be right here somewhere.
All right. This guy seems completely full of shit to me.
Look up the Todd Standing trailer, because it's a 2-hour documentary. You don't want to fucking try to find anything in there.
Todd Standing trailer?
2 Ds. It's on Todd. I don't know how many people ever spell Todd with 1 D.
Do people always? Oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, that's dumb. But that's how people spell it. This is what's going to convince me there's a Bigfoot.
No, I don't know. But this is the film that I've seen recently that was going to blow us out of the water here. Also, this guy is slightly a lunatic. That's not Bigfoot. That's him being an idiot.
There's one here. And I can hear one over here.
With my last bit of battery power in my camera, I was able to film these incredible images in full HD at 50 times optical zoom. You'll feel the fear.
Discovering Bigfoot, that's called.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm going to watch it. Did you say that was on Netflix?
Yeah.
Discovering Bigfoot.
But he's got that clip at the end. He's got 2 or 3 clips like that throughout the movie that they show more in detail. Like I said, one looks like it's an outfit, like a suit, but the other one is definitely a real animal. It's definitely a real primate, but it also could just be somebody filming in a zoo, you know? So.
But to me, if one of them is a dude in a suit, then how can you believe any of the rest of it?
Yeah.
True. It's hard to say.
We got a bunch of real Bigfoot. Let's throw in one more fake Bigfoot just to...
But is that just somebody trying to prove their point? You know what I mean? Like, they believe they've seen Bigfoot so profoundly that they are going to now try to make up evidence to prove to you that they saw it. Maybe they really do believe they saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Possibly.
People
will do that. I mean, that's really kind of what this whole show's about, is people that get so caught up in their own ideals and viewpoints that they end up like losing all sense of logic in order to try to win an argument. So I think that's possible.
A number of the casts taken starting in 1969 show dermal ridges.
Okay.
So that's fingerprints,
Right.
swirls. They run lengthwise across the foot of the Bigfoot.
Okay.
There are a number that show scar tissue.
Mm-hmm.
And in 69, there was one that was found in cast called Cripplefoot that is an example of what could be a clubfoot.
So clubfoot Bigfoot.
Yeah. So you think about the pre-internet days, where do you get this kind of information? Where do you,
Right.
If you're going to fake it, it would be a lot more difficult to fake, And we care.
It's awful pretty intricate to to fake it in that way.
So, you have that. Going through some other stuff, there's been some scat found that was studied in the 60s. And that's the thing is, where's the DNA technology today on the scat? And I'm not hearing anything about it. So that's, in the back of your mind, you say that's like the fossil evidence. It's just not there.
Right.
But a dude by the name of Ivan Sanderson, he was a doctor, one of those universities out there, was studying scat that was all vegetable matter. And what they found were worm casings and eggs that were, it's a specific genus of the trichinosis worm that it grows in size, and the egg cases grow in size per the host.
Okay.
Too big to be human, not black bear, but matched up to old world primates from Asia.
These were found in the scat?
In the scat.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's that. And then you have kind of the worldwide phenomenon. There's Yeti. In Russia, they call it the almas. I've heard of almasti too. I think almas is the one though. The Yeren in China. The Oran Morris in Malaysia. And then there's the Oran Pendak. That's the tiny one.
Okay.
That's in like Indonesia.
I didn't know there was a tiny Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, it's a tiny primate. Maybe not Bigfoot.
Right.
But then you have Australia has the Yowie. Which then that's like, well, hold on a second. How do they get to Australia? So you think that one, okay, that's probably BS.
Unless they're just native to.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's other animals.
I mean, how did the kangaroos get there?
Yeah, but if you're saying it's a Australian Bigfoot, it has to get, it would have to be a different evolutionary process.
Right.
So maybe the Australian Bigfoot, the Yowie, is a marsupial Bigfoot for all we know. Which that's BS. I'm not buying the Australian one just because of distribution across the northern hemisphere, where you can explain it away with the bridge across Siberia, like all the other animals got here.
Right.
But how do you get to Australia?
Swim. You got to swim hard.
Yeah. How do we know Bigfoot can't swim? That's a long swim though.
Jesus.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
We're getting in the deep end now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. The dermal ridges is always the one that I thought,
So when you're talking dermal ridges, you're talking like fingerprints.
Yeah. And they've also, you concentrate on the foot cast. They've also done casts of handprints where kneeling down into the dirt.
Right.
There was a picture one taken on the side of a trailer home in Fort Bragg, California. That's kind of cool. The ratio of palm to fingers on a human, it's way off.
Okay.
The palm is much bigger, and then the fingers are shorter in ratio, but it's giant.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's kind of cool. How would you know to fake that? And then have that consistently across.
Right.
And that was back in the 60s they found that.
Well, a lot of that stuff makes sense. It's the same thing when I'm looking at, we just did on our other show, Truth and Justice, one of our cases we were working, the state's theory was that it was a staged robbery. So basically it looks like a robbery gone wrong. Man gets murdered, and then the state says no, the wife murdered him and made it look like a robbery, and it was kind of the same type of thing. So like remember in Jamie Melgar the red rope. So like there's a rope wrapped around him that's like laid across him, but when you look at it, it wasn't actually tied. It looks like he fought and he broke away before they could get it tied. It's like no one stages something that elaborately. You might tie him up and say, oh, look, he was tied up. But to make it look like someone tried to tie him up, started to, almost got there and didn't finish the knot. It's the same type of thing. Like how do you stage it that far? And at that time, before nobody, certainly no one would think the technology would be out there to look at that stuff.
Yeah. To do research like that, you'd end up at a university library or something like that. Looking at like a gorilla handprint or something like that. Which, there's a difference, because of the opposable thumb that you see in gorillas. It's not as opposable. It's off on an angle, but it's not Bigfoot-like.
On the handprint, is it like, because like our hands are more round, where a gorilla or an ape of any kind, usually the thumb comes out like more down here? Like further down.
Well, let me find the picture. There it is. That's the Fort Bragg handprint.
Okay.
An artist rendition next to a human handprint.
The one there?
Yeah, there.
Hold that up to that camera so they can.
Yeah. And then on this side, you have various primate handprints. Yeah. That's a human, a chimpanzee, and a gorilla. So it's, the gorilla is lower, not as large. And then the Bigfoot's lower, like, not quite as low as gorilla, but actually, opposable looking thumb there.
Right.
If it is a Sasquatch print.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, and who's to say, I would say really that Sasquatch isn't, I mean, when we're thinking of Sasquatch in the terms of some mythical monster, it seems really unlikely, but who's to say it's just not just another species of primate?
Yeah. Well, the Gigantopithecus theory, it's they only found out about it by finding bones in a Chinese, watch your words I can't pronounce.
Right.
Apothecary's shop.
Okay.
Because they were grinding them down to make medicine and whatnot. So they find this jawbone, and they theorize a whole giant primate off of that. As far as I know, they only have the jawbone. But they also theorize that it was probably not bipedal. So that kind of shoots the Bigfoot.
But that's all based off a jawbone.
Yeah.
Seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
From one bone.
They were found in a cave in China back in the 1920s.
So I don't know. I say that I think that it's. I go both ways absolutely, because I don't think that it's possible that someone wouldn't have clear and convincing proof that it exists.
Yeah, and fossil evidence and better camera evidence.
Right.
Yeah. And then the DNA today that you could do with scat testing. Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't. I think it's a little arrogant to think that we must know every single species that exists in the world, and there's no way that it doesn't.
Yeah, I can't remember what that number is, but there is a number out there that they say that there is X amount of species found every day that we didn't know existed.
Yeah. Now most of them are minuscule. They're insects and bacteria and that kind of things. But it would just be cool that there's something out there roaming around that we don't know about.
Right. And I think Michigan, of course, but then again, everywhere we all think about our little bubble, right? So like around here, we live in rural Michigan, but there's still people everywhere. But you get up to northern Michigan, especially in the Upper Peninsula, there are miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of area that, I mean, some of it humans may have never even walked down.
Yeah. And that's, you go back to the black bear, theory of mine. How many of you seen a black? Okay, so how many people in Michigan have seen a black bear that's not destroying their bird feeder or their garbage can?
Right.
So if you have an animal that's not interested in your garbage, I think it would still be interested in your deer bait pile, though. That's kind of like, okay, now. And where does every hunter in Michigan have their game camera pointed? At their bait pile.
Right.
Well, before baiting was illegal. Don't do that anymore. But
right. Yeah. You're saying like the Bigfoot would be, but that's assuming that, because
you'd have.
Of course, I mean, a lot of people are throwing carrots and sugar beets and apples, which you'd think
would attract.
Right.
Yeah. You'd have a picture of Bigfoot. But maybe he's eating so many carrots, his eyes are so good, he sees the cameras.
Could be. Depends on how Depends how smart he is.
Yeah.
And to say that, it's to say that, how is it possible no one's ever seen one? But then again, we had, how many did you say, Zach? 23,000?
23,000 is the number I came across.
So we just don't believe people when they say they saw them.
Yeah. And if you said, okay, 50% of them are bunk, you're still looking at 11, how many? I'm bad at math. Was that 15,000?
Yeah, you're still 11.5.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you said 23, not 33.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's possible. What else? Did you have any other notes there on your quest to prove Bigfoot to us?
Hitting the table again, darn it.
My 4-year-old believes it hard.
Yeah.
And I like that he believes it.
The 3 videos that I look at and say, okay, might be something. Patterson film, the Memorial Day film, and the Freeman film.
What was the second one?
Memorial Day.
Is that one we haven't seen yet?
That's one we haven't seen yet.
The Memorial Day. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, it's a grainy Bigfoot running across the hillside in northern Washington.
Memorial.
But he's getting after it. You want to sign this guy to play fullback for your football team.
Nice. Now we're talking.
Yeah. Let me see if we can pull that up. To me, I can't. Neither one of you two seem too excited about the owl cam.
The eagle.
The eagle cam. I mean,
I like it. It's just too fuzzy, because that's
Well, again, I mean, even if you do believe, based on the camera is focused on those birds,
right?
So you're looking at something that's in the background. Oh, here we go. Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, I think I've seen this one before. Yeah. So we're looking over like a large open.
Yeah, they were just kind of filming landscape, and then there he is.
This was 1996.
Yeah, and one of the theories about this is there appears to be something on the shoulders moving, and that it might be a mother carrying a infant Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call an infant Bigfoot then? Like a infant foot because they're not big?
I guess, yeah.
A little foot?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little grainy. It's hard to see, but yeah, it sure looks like something moving on 2 feet very quickly.
Yeah.
But see, and this one is more convincing to me than I think the Gimlin film is bullshit. I think it seems unlikely that a person that guy that came forward and said that he was he was in the suit and he's got this suit and this is what I was wearing. Like, why would he do that? I don't like the way the thing's moving. It doesn't look like any wild animal to me, the way they would react because he looks back and sees them back there. I don't think they'd react that way.
But I mean, when you watch at the right speed though, I mean, they're not running, but they're not hanging around either.
Right. But there's ways, like I remember years ago watching it thinking like he could have taken cover here and moved here and done this, like you'd expect most animals.
But, they're, okay. Yeah, I had a 4-point walk under my deer stand last time I was hunting.
Right.
And it got to 12 yards. And I mean, it bounced. And when I looked, so it got about, it was close.
Uh-huh.
So, it does a couple hops to the other side of the tree. Now I got to look over my other shoulder. That's when it really busted me.
Right.
It didn't take off running. It trotted away.
Oh, I've had deer walk up and lick the steps of my tree stand.
Oh, yeah.
Young deer. But I don't think anybody argues that was a young Bigfoot. That thing was huge. If it was.
But, what I'm saying is, that deer that licked your tree stand didn't know you were there.
Right.
So my one thought on that film though is the fact that they had the sex of the Bigfoot in there, that it was a female Bigfoot.
Right.
Because I think that's something if you're faking it, why would you put that in there? Because I've never thought of the sex of an animal.
Right.
And if you look at wild animals, how many deer, turkeys, peacocks, you know what I mean? Like other than that, how many wild animals do you look at and go, that's a male, that's a female?
Mm-hmm.
You don't. You're like, that's a bear.
Right.
That's a coyote. That's, you know what I mean? You don't really think about.
I mean, like a bear hunter could tell the difference between a sow and a male bear, but a general person just seeing one.
There's another video out there, and I just don't know if you're going to be able to find it, and I wouldn't even know what to call it. It was like the Redwoods Bigfoot from a camper, and it's like a whole crazy story that there were these models. I don't know if they're like Playboy models or whatever, are in a camper because they're doing a photo shoot in the Redwoods area. And a Bigfoot walked in front and they recorded it through the windshield of the camper. So, I mean, there's no detail there.
Right.
But allegedly it was displaying its phallus, which, gorillas will, pop a chubby and let you know who's a boss.
And it was doing that to them, sexy models.
Was it intimidated? Was it, hey, what's up?
Right, yeah, how you doing?
Yeah.
No, this stuff is fun. I enjoy talking about this stuff.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that in my heart of hearts, I want to believe. But, I acknowledge all the holes in the argument.
Yeah.
That there's no fossil evidence.
Yeah.
The DNA is inconclusive. And when they've run DNA, it's inconclusive. Hair is not a good source of DNA unless you get the root.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, we have hair. We don't have the root. So.
No, I do. I mean, I brought up several times. Some of that footage in there and that Todd Standing documentary is kind of weird, but he does have some points in there that I appreciate, and he does go through and he talks about he's walking through the woods and there's some limbs knocked down and he's like, well, if this isn't, the man couldn't do this.
The one thing I've ever seen in the woods where I'm just like, hey, what is that? Is there was a weird pine nest, like way up in these pine trees near my hunting camp. And it's in the national forest where it's all the straight lines of white pines.
Okay.
So you're up far enough that it couldn't be anything big, but there were just all these pine boughs arranged in like a nest. And it's not a Bigfoot nest because that part of the tree ain't supporting anything even my size, 200 pounds. So I wondered if it was porcupines or something like that. So I mean, stuff gets arranged out in the woods by animals or by nature and just wind and blowdowns.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, we got these trees crossed. Like that doesn't mean anything.
No, that's true.
One of the most compelling evidence I have for Bigfoot existing was that, after watching a couple episodes of Monster Quest, I switched deer hunting from my 257 Roberts to a 300 Magnum. Because you just never know.
So the evidence is that you took a gun in the woods capable of killing a Bigfoot.
Just in case. I don't think I would have to, but you never know.
So answer me this. If you were in the woods hunting and you saw a Bigfoot, what would you do?
I always carry my Nikon with me when I'm hunting. So I would take a picture of it with my camera.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the
You
thing.
carry a full DSL?
Yeah. A Nikon 3300.
Camera?
Yeah.
In the blind with you?
Usually, yeah. Because nowadays I'm hunting from a box blind.
Okay.
Bow hunting and tree stand, I sometimes take it depending on how spacious the tree stand is. That's my hobby. I love doing it. And my theory on hunting is every time you go in the woods, you can see something you've never seen before.
Right.
I've had owls come down and grab chipmunks off my corn pile and fly off and eat. It's awesome.
Did you get a picture of it?
No. It happened too fast.
Right. Have you gotten some cool pictures, though, from your...
Yeah. I was... I'll show them to you. I got a couple of them on my phone. I was...
Okay.
A couple weeks back, I was grouse hunting and didn't see a grouse. But I had my camera with me. I came up on this creek that was just filled with steelhead and maybe king salmon.
Really?
Spawning on a gravel bar. I stood there and watched them for 2 hours, took a bunch of pictures.
Nice.
So, nowadays I'd almost rather do that than shoot anything but maybe a deer.
Oh, there's plenty of times that I've been in a tree stand. I always tell because Becky, this time of year when I'm out hunting, you spend so much time out there and you don't come home with a deer, but once during the year, it's like, I see a lot of deer. I see all kinds of stuff. Watch fox running around, and I just love being outside and kind of unplugging. And I've never thought about taking a good camera with me.
I saw a fox the other day. It's the first time I've seen a fox in probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Saw a fox.
We had one run across our backyard here.
Did you really?
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
There used to be one that lived out by my grandparents, and so I saw it quite a bit. And I think we're on like 4 or 5 generations because every once in a while I'll go out there and I'll see one running around.
Yeah, I saw one time. It's been probably 10 years ago, but a gray fox, which I didn't know existed around here.
I've never seen one, only red.
Yeah, and hopefully I'm not crazy and they do exist here. But it was when I lived.
Think they do.
I used to live down the road here, just off Mayflower Road, and I was deer hunting, and I see this thing popping through the woods, and it looked just like a red fox, but it was gray. It just went running right through.
I think my hesitation would be uncertainty.
Yeah.
Would be more
what
so...
if it is a person?
Yeah, what if it is some asshole out here dressed up in a suit that I just shot and killed? Now I'm a fucking murderer because
right.
I thought it'd be funny to kill Bigfoot. That would be my hesitation on pulling the trigger on something like that.
Yeah. And that's, if it is, and there are only so many of them left in the world, how would you feel after you drop a Bigfoot?
Right.
So
you get to say you proved it, but...
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I wouldn't shoot.
Most people who don't hunt don't realize how much hunters actually love animals.
Right.
And we do see them as food.
And it's a conservation effort. We've actually increased the population by hunting.
Yeah.
By helping manage the herd. Yeah, but and that's why I ask, because I don't think, because they say, well, why has no one ever killed one? There's never been a dead one found. That's the thing that gets me. But then you wonder, too, how smart are they in the evolutionary cycle? But we bury our dead.
Yeah. Do they eat them? Do they, what do they do?
Do they eat them or do they bury them?
Yeah. And Neanderthals did things like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, let's assume that one has been shot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would somebody automatically feel guilty enough and not want to say, hey, this is what I did? And some people out there would be like, oh, I shot him. He's right here.
Well, but it would certainly bring up a conundrum within that person for a couple of reasons. Number one, okay, I shot this thing. I can prove Bigfoot's real. I have a dead Bigfoot here. But then you start thinking, well, I don't have a license to shoot Bigfoot. Is it okay? Is it legal for me to shoot Bigfoot? Am I going to get arrested because I shot Bigfoot?
Well, not only that, in today's age, that dentist that shot Cecil the lion, his life's ruined.
Right.
So if you're the hunter that shoots Bigfoot, today in the Twitter, they're going to dox you and people know where you're going to live.
Right.
You're going to boycott your business.
Mm-hmm.
Do you it changes things entirely.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of reasons not to do that because and it's different now in 2019. If say it was 1967,
you drive into town with it strapped to your hood.
Yeah. And because what entertains people has changed over the years so much. Where now it's like that was a big deal. They're making there's museums for Bigfoot and all these people because there's nothing else happening now in the days of 5,000 cable channels on TV and a million podcasts and YouTube, and somebody pops up with, "Hey, I caught a Bigfoot." Like, who fuck? There's going to be like the who fucking cares people, and then the you're a monster because you shot Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Right.
And it has to be true as well. You know, I mean, not long ago they had the people in North Carolina that had the Bigfoot carcass in their freezer, and then
it turned out
to be a frozen suit.
Yeah, it was a frozen suit,
essentially.
Yeah. And that's the thing. There's so many hoaxes out there about it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Zach, did you get through all of your points?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you get through all your stuff, Tommy?
Pretty much.
Okay. Well, so I think for me, I'm right back where I was when I started. I want to believe in Bigfoot. I don't know if he's real or not.
So I'll go all dad on you for a moment. I have 2 small children, and there's a Pixar movie that came out 2 years ago now called Smallfoot.
Yeah.
Adorable movie. And the principle of it is the exact opposite of what's happening. It is a Yeti colony that one of them finds a person, and then he goes back trying to convince the Yetis that there are people. There are small feet out there, but it's the people.
That's clever.
It's a super cute movie. Yeah.
Do they find people?
They find people.
And they prove that we exist?
Yep.
Well,
to their colony. So that's what we're trying to do here, I guess.
Yeah.
But, we all know people. If you're an intelligent bipedal animal, wouldn't you avoid people?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. With that being said, I think it's about time we wrap it up. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. And Zach, as always, thanks for being my friend, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
All right. Love you. Take care.